just below the entrance to the castle we have the Turkish steam baths, which you can't actually go in, but it's now in the process of renovation. And so this would have been built in the 17th century when the Turks were actually here. They took the town in 1596, and so it's. I hope that will be soon available. They have been actually excavating it those for the last 29 years. The castle. And this obviously refers to the 1552 siege, in which large amounts of things like explosives and boiling oil were used, as well as you see the women there who were helping. There's only a small number of mercenaries used. Those that were used on the cannons, because they didn't have proper artillery people, although the Turks had very heavy artillery for the time. I think more than 10,000 cannonballs found their way into the castle. And as the Turks had already taken large parts of Hungary, no problems were expected. Another thing which happened quite a lot of was tunnelling, although the tunnelling in this case didn't have an effect on either side. And there's one Hungarian artillery officer who came up with the idea of using fire, not with the intent of sort of exploding, but with the intent of being an incendiary. It's the first record I've ever seen of incendiaries being used as such. Or mechanical incendiaries. I don't know if I could quite explain that correctly. Maybe earlier, I'm sure there were, I just don't know of any. Seen as a great victory for the Hungarians. The reality was, though, that the Turks, two armies that came together to fight, maybe fighting amongst themselves, at least arguing amongst themselves, has suggested that there was a lot of corruption within the Turkish forces. The officers being treated better, rice rations not turning up, men going hungry, and this isn't really typical of what was happening within the Turkish army at the time, which managed to take very large parts of Europe. Now the Turks actually ran out of cannonballs twice during the siege, and their cannonballs were made partially from marble, if not entirely, I can't quite recall. The castle costs 800 florins to get in, which is roughly €2.60. So it's not too expensive, unless you're paying for the entire group, in which case it might be. Oh, it's a nice view. Now there's a very odd looking cannon. Very small barrel. Don't know why. I see something incorrect from a military point of view. Perhaps. Let's see if my suspicions are correct. And as I said earlier, there's a big military error here, and I presume that has always been higher ground. That somebody just make it higher ground recently, and basically artillery placed up there, including in the 16th century, could just fire down into the castle. This is the weak part of it. Now there's a bit of a ditch, but certainly an attacking force would want to come round this way rather than in the town. And now I know that the castle was built on the site of a Iron Age fortification, and this meant that the foundations were much stronger than may normally have been expected. That's why the tunnelling attempted by both sides as well. I mean, the people inside were trying to disrupt the Turkish tunnels. So that the foundations were strong. I also believe that there was a castle, Middle Ages castle, built somewhere else, but this became the favoured site later. But that high ground behind me, not only artillery, you can see precisely what's going on inside. Now, there may have been some secret that I don't yet know. I can't quite think of anything, unless the plan was that this was so heavily defended by artillery on this side that it was impossible to set anything up there. I don't know. But clearly it does have a major weakness there on the northern side, being much higher than the castle itself. The well is very deep, so probably not going to come out very well. It's next to that high ground. Now, if the high ground overlooked walls like that, walls are very thick, but now in those days that thickness of walls would have been sufficient to actually contain a number of shots fired at it. But when you're looking at numbers like 10,000, then basically it wouldn't. As far as I can see, attacking this place by storm was a mistake. We just sat it out, particularly if the Turks are holding the high ground, which I don't know they were. I've got some very interesting looking swings. Here we can see the main gate from the battlements. View of the town. And the countryside. Oh, there's the Eger mountain, the highest mountain in Hungary, which I had a very good view of in the hotel. Here's an outstanding view of the town square. Absolutely amazing, really very attractive town, superb. This is a late 16th century cannon, and it's a model of one because it says 15th of October 2010 on the side. But this is the sort of thing that would have been used when Eger was captured in October 1596. And also we have some Arabic letters on it. It's looking out towards the town. course it wouldn't have been pointing at the castle, it would have been pointing at the castle. I've just put together a film on Sarvashko where I was 15 days ago, and in that film I mentioned the quarries. Now I'm seeing them from Eger the other side, and there they are. There's a lot of mining historically, but further north, more in what is today Slovakia, although Eger was pretty wealthy because of the mining.